Hello, world again. John Anderson Pierre, the Beer Ramble, back looking at Blue Moon Harvest Pumpkin Ale. Came on the scene in 1995. Twist off cap. Same time as Blue Moon's other original, the Belgian White, which is their view of their original beer, their signature beer, made by the Blue Moon Brewing Company. But that company is not. It is Coors. Why you say it's Coors? We'll get to that in a minute. 5.7 ABV by volume. Gets an okay score on Beer Advocate, as well as okay by the Olsen Brothers, better known as the Bros. Rate Beer gives it, I think, if I remember, 21 for the style, 17 score overall for the beer. So, you know, it's viewed as a pumpkin ale style beer, or might be a spice and herb style beer if you look at Rate Beer's website to define what this beer is. So, as you can see, very little lacing on top, not much. I like the color right over here. You can see the color, a little copper look to it. Quite nice. On to the scent. You definitely get all those characteristics of what most pumpkin ales are, or beers of that style. You smell a lot of cinnamon, some coriander, some nutmeg, you know, all those flavors that you see smell a lot during brown sugar, a little bit, not much, but most of that said coriander, cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of ginger. Most of those spices get around that time as you go into the fall season, around late September, going into October and November. So smells quite pungent, but quite nice. So makes you feel like you wish fall can get here because it's been a hot effing summer, very hot. So down the hatch we go. Okay, nothing negative about this at all. Hmm. Real pumpkin and spices, and definitely has that. Look at the bottle. An ale brewed with pumpkin and spices, according to their little information here. And it tells you the amount of alcohol is in this. So look at the bottle pretty closely. It'll tell you all what's inscripted in this. Okay. And if you probably don't know the story, and you've seen all my other reviews I've done, whether it's been Blue Moon, the Blue Moon White IPA, or their Belgian table pills. Blue Moon started in 1995. This was sort of Coors way. Yes, the brewers on my Coors brewery. It was sort of their way to sort of kind of, the whole boom of the craft beer movement that really began. I mean, it had been around before, but kind of tapered off and then sort of kind of reinvented itself, or sort of came back or came roaring back around the mid 90s or so. And Coors was probably one of the first of the big three breweries, in my opinion, to really kind of take a look and say, look over their shoulders, like, what's going on here? So they put out the Blue Moon series, and this is around 1995, around the time the Rockies baseball team was. I think they came into existence that year in 1995. I could be wrong. I may be right. The Colorado Rockies out in Denver. So They came onto the scene and they put out their Belgian White, which is so for many that was many folks' introduction to the whole craft beer scene, and it was Coors way of saying you can have craft beer at a very reasonable price. Um, I was in high school at the time when this came out, and I wasn't like you know didn't really pay much attention to any of this crap, but um, came onto the scene and they put out several beers. That the white IPA I think just came out recently, but they had other beers that were well known for seasonal styles. And this came out about the same time, the Harvest Pumpkin Ale, as is the Belgian White. And um, again, for many who weren't aware, they thought Blue Moon Company, oh, this is great, this is great beer. They call it this Blue Moon thing, you got to try their beers. And they've had other beers over the years. They had the spice. They had a ginger spice ale beer. They had a gingerbread or ginger style beer. Um, yeah, a couple of other seasonal styles, but um, and then they were quite popular. And again, people who didn't know what was going on saw the name Blue Moon, kind of thought, okay, this is sort of an independent company. But people didn't realize when you look at the name Golden Colorado and a lot of their affiliation with Coors, people began to kind of get more in depth and kind of realize, okay, this is a Coors brand beer. Um, One guy, I think last year, if I recall, decided to take legal action towards Coors Brewery because he thought Blue Moon was an independent brewery. And it was a ridiculous, frivolous lawsuit. They decided to sue Blue Moon. And I think earlier this year, whether it was June or July, the court decided to throw out the case. Say, listen, man, we don't have no time for the bullshit, no time for any of this. Get lost, see you later, adios. So they threw the case out, and that was that. So, um, but the style here is quite refreshing, and if you look at the age demographic of this beer, I mean, if you look at the I'll get. Let me go into the age demographic. The age demographic of people who buy Blue Moon is within mostly young folks and those with money, and also those with you know subpar spending. But again, very affordable, very reasonable. Who bought into this beer, and even they began to know that this was. And once they did all their research, began to understand and know that this was a Coors brand brewery. So they're kind of were able to caught on, you know. But when you look at the beer itself, back to this. It's quite refreshing. All those spices, as I've mentioned, the nutmeg, the cinnamon, the ginger, the coriander, all those spices that are very common around that time of year, going to Halloween. You know, once the weather gets a bit nippy, a little bit of frost, you know, these beers are going to become quite or very popular. Right now, as you can see, they're I think since beginning of this month of August and even late last month. There were a lot of the Oktober fests and those sort of fall beers were beginning to pop up onto the coolers and people were like, damn, it's a little early for this and it's pretty hot, humid to be drinking this style of beer. So you figure maybe late September going to Labor Day weekend, maybe it would be out on the shelves. But again, a lot of these breweries like Coors and even the Yinglings of the world and Sam Adams and many other from the Craftsmiths guys and even to the BMCs who have these Oktoberfest or even the Paps and the Yinglings of the world are all putting their fall seasonal beers out there right now. Why not? I know here in the Southeast it's going to be a while till we get a little bit of a little frost, a little bit of a nip or a little bit of chill coming our way, but I'm sure those in the north, southeast, but those in the northeast definitely will be getting it come September. even early October. So, oh well. But again, this is a good beer, folks. I'm not. I mean, negative on this. I mean, this is be perfect for a pot roast. Um, if you're, like I said, anything roasted or roasted turkey, anything good for this for that time of year. I mean, this is a very very good beer. I don't want a pumpkin pie right now, but um, it can get you into that feeling that great, that time of year is coming. I'm looking forward to it. Wearing a sweater and a jacket and all that good stuff, and the weather will be a little more comfortable and peaceful, not this oppressive, brutal heat. I got two stouts right now. I'm really anxious to crank those open. As we get closer and closer to September and October. So, but anyway, this is a good beer. So, my score would probably be the same. I'm gonna give this an 8. It's well, I'll make it a 7.5. I'll give it a 7.5. So I'm giving it as making it okay. So B minus. This is good. This is a good beer. Nothing offensive, nothing really negative to say. All those flavors, all those you know things that you like about pumpkin as we get into the Oktoberfest, is all in this. So 7.5 score for me. If you've had this Blue Moon Harvest Pumpkin Ale, you think it deserves a 7.5 or an 8. Like I said, a B plus from a B minus for me on this one. And it's not something I get every day, you know. And I think there are other beers like this. I mean, for me, that time of year and a holiday, I'm kind of more leaning towards wine. But last year, I had the O'Fallon Pumpkin Ale, and I thought that was quite good when I had for Thanksgiving. I was watching the Packers, whatever football game was on that night, Thanksgiving night, and my beloved was out on the streets shopping, and so I had to watch a football game. So hope Packers and playing with somebody were playing. But anyway, um, so yeah, this is good. Like I said, this is not an everyday thing, but this is something that I could probably get for that time of year with the meals and all the turkey and the dressing and the pies and the pecan pies and the sweet potato pies and the mashed potatoes and all that stuff. Perfect for that time of year. So, um, but I think there are other beers that are probably better than it or good better than this one. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, enough rambling. If you've had this, leave your thoughts and comments on the bottom. So B minus for me on this one, 7.5 score for me. Join us up here at the Beer Round. We'll tell you keep on watching, and as always, cheers.